Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 749 days, Ukraine defends itself against the forces of the Russian invasion. Ukraine plans to mobilize 500,000 people to demobilize military personnel who have been at the front for a long time, reports Militarny. According to the information from the Defense Ministry received by the Financial Times, Kyiv plans to call up at least the minimum number of 330,000 citizens to replace military personnel at the front. The remaining recruits will replace casualties and cover other military needs depending on the situation on the front line. The new law on mobilization aims to update the country's legal framework ahead of an expected recruitment wave this year. As the publication notes, most of the military who have been at the front since 2022, without rotation and practically without vacations, are currently very exhausted. The Defense Ministry clarified that the figure of 400,000 to 500,000 mobilized people needed in the battlefield is a rough estimate which is adjusted depending on the situation in the combat zone and cannot be achieved right away, reports RBK Ukraine. The ministry reminded about the launch of a recruitment campaign which has just started and so far covers a limited range of military specialists. Over 90,000 applications were received for almost 8,000 vacancies. The Defense Ministry also commented on calls to send police officers and members of the Security Service of Ukraine to the combat zone. It explained that the Security Service of Ukraine has both its combat units, which engage in combat action directly on the contact line, and units that plan and carry out operations to strike the Russians in the rear. The security service also works to combat espionage. Tomasz Poyar, Czech Prime Minister's national security advisor, informed that ammunition purchased under the Czech-led initiative may arrive in Ukraine as early as June, reports Ukrainska Pravda. So far, more than 15 countries have pledged to finance the purchase of ammunition. This include Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, France and Norway, as well as non-European allies such as Canada. Poland announced that it would join the initiative just yesterday. While Czechia finds available munitions around the world, other countries provide the necessary funding. Czechia then coordinates the delivery of the munitions to Ukraine. According to Poyar, the promised money has to come and the contracts must be made. At the point when the contract is concluded, it will take several weeks to get the ammunition to Ukraine. Poyar refused to disclose the origin of the ammunition, saying that the initiative is looking for ammunition around the world, wherever it is available at a reasonable price and of reasonable quality. The initiative's coordinators expect Russia to try to disrupt the supply to Ukraine, so they are trying to keep most of the details secret. The day before, it was reported that in addition to the commitment to purchase 300,000 artillery shells for Ukraine under the Czech-led initiative, Prague had received preliminary approval from other members of the initiative to purchase an additional 200,000 shells. We would really appreciate if you could recommend us to your friends and family, as well as share information on social media. This way more people would learn about the podcast and truth about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Wall Street Journal informs that the US Department of Defense is open to the idea of providing Ukraine with longer-range ATACMS missiles, reports European Pravda. Earlier, Pentagon officials insisted that the US armed forces should retain all their long-range ATACMS missiles to meet their own military needs. Situation changed because the US military can now use the next-generation precision strike missile. It is not known whether US President Joe Biden would approve the transfer of the ATACMS of this particular modification with a range of 290 kilometers. The day before, the United States announced a $300 million security assistance package to Ukraine, the first one in 2024, amid blockages of additional funding in the US Congress. Media reported that it would include long-range ATACMS missiles with a range of up to 160 kilometers. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We're a commercial initiative of just two people, and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we're getting better.
We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.